welcome to the show, multi-Olympian, four-time Olympian, world champion, world record holder in 50-meter and 100-meter short course breaststroke, Alia Atkinson. Thanks so much for joining the show.
Hi, thank you guys for having me.
All right. So how are you holding up during this time? Are you back in Jamaica or South Florida or somewhere else?
No, I decided to stay in South Florida, so I'm here. And it's been up and down. At the beginning, it was more of, all right, so we just wait another year, like no biggie. And then as I started to really feel the difficulty of training on your own without knowing when you're actually going to swim again, it just started to take its toll. Like, why am I getting up so early? Why am I doing this? Do I really need to do more dry lands today? I can do it tomorrow. So the lazy part of the mentality started kicking in. And I think that's the hardest part for any athlete right now, is how to fight that. But yeah, I'm still trying to figure it out.
Well, do you know, like, obviously talking to family or whatever too, back in Jamaica, is it pretty much the same situation there? Is there anything that, we don't know here in Canada or in America that's going on in Jamaica?
No, for the most part, we were really proud of the Jamaican government, because when it started in China and everybody just started worrying about what's going on, before it started to be an international pandemic, Jamaica started watching it. So when it started going to Italy and started spreading a little bit more, Jamaica said, you know what, let's try and get all our people back home and let's see what we can do. And they just kept on watching it and watching it. And as soon as it hit on the Western Hemisphere, they shut down. Like, everybody, they started restricting hours, everybody had curfews. Everybody who was out of the country, they brought everybody back in and just really started regulating it. And it's a fantastic thing, because if you know your country and you're very humbled at the fact, like, this is what my country can do, then you don't want to see what's on the opposite side of that. So instead of waiting to see, all right, maybe we get it, maybe we won't, Jamaica shut down. Like, we are not getting it. So they held off for a little while. I think they only had about 2 cases for maybe the first month or month and a half. But now, as everybody's starting to relax a little bit more and not take the necessary precautions just because of time, and everybody's getting tired of being locked up, more cases are starting to show. But I think for right now, they're doing pretty well.
That's good. So what are you doing? You kind of touched on it there too, but what are you doing during these times? And like, do you have access to a pool at all, or are you just working out at home, or are you keeping up your fitness?
I thought I was doing very well until early this morning. I was like, ooh, I'm getting soft. Like, so obviously I'm not doing as well as I thought. But yeah, I have a gym that I get to go to, so I'm really happy for that. But besides that, I have no pool. So that's the hard part, trying to figure out how to still let the body feel like it's swimming without actually swimming. So I've been doing a lot of tubing outside of the water as well, and really getting back to the things I did when I was a teenager, and actually early 20s after college. So a lot of breaststroke tubing, a lot of flies and freestyles, and then just more core work. Because at the beginning, I was like, I don't need to stretch. Like, I'm not doing anything, stretching will be fine. And then I ran a mile and I could not stretch. I am super mobile and flexible. And I was like, I can't, this is rough. So I guess with swimming, it taught me to feel my muscles more. So in order to stop the hurt, I was proactive with the stretching. But if there's no hurt, I don't stretch. So it's learning a lot about yourself as an athlete. I've been swimming my whole life, so it all came as a routine. And now that swimming is out of the picture, how do I still keep the routine with swimming not in it? So yeah, it's keeping up with the old stuff, having a checklist, like, all right, I have to do this. I don't know the reason, but I'm doing it. And just trying to keep as fit as you can and as sane as you can during this time.
Well, follow-up question to that, like, what's the longest up until now that you've been out of the water? Like, how long have you gone without being in a pool?
So if you asked me this before 2016, the longest I've gone is probably 2 weeks, which is the Christmas to New Year's, and maybe like a couple of days before Christmas and a couple of days after New Year's. So the most I've ever gone is 2 weeks. After Olympics, I wasn't sure if I was going to go to 2020, so I took 3 months off in January of 2017. And then I slowly started to get back, all with the goal of, all right, 2020, I retire. So that's pushed. And it's a huge different mindset now. All right, what are my goals now? Because yes, it could be the same as before, but my goals before was just to make it to 2020, see if I could go to 5 Olympics. And now it's, all right, if I'm pushing myself to wake up every morning still for another 18 months, it's not just going to Olympics. I have to do something there, like now. So.
Well, speaking of the if you go to 5 Olympics, I'm sure you're aware, but you'll be amongst like a pretty elite class. Like I think there's only about 15 swimmers or so that have made 5 Olympics. So
Yeah. And so I didn't realize that when I was in 2016. I was like, maybe not. And everybody kept on telling me, of course, go. But it didn't mean anything to me until I realized how hard it is to keep on going. I'm like, no, I am going to 5.
Well, that's great. Well, so obviously we're talking about that. What are your plans for the future? So you're going to try to work towards Tokyo 2021, and are you still going to be training down in South Florida? Is that the plan?
I think so. Right now I have a good support system and a good staff. If I was to switch it up, it would only be for a couple months somewhere, like a training camp somewhere else. But for the most part, I'll probably be here just finishing off. The great thing about it being extended as well is that we had young athletes that could have made it, but 2020 just came around too quickly. So with 2021 happening and a couple of them going to college, we could see a bigger team for Jamaica for Olympics. So that is a positive in it.
Excellent. I'm glad to hear that. So what are some of your most memorable moments on the international scene? Like, was there any particular medal or performance that stands out for you?
Memorable as in happy?
Happy, Ted? Anything that's that sticks in your mind?
There are a couple. The world records has always been at the top because when they happened, they were unexpected. It wasn't a time where I was feeling great and I was like, yes, I feel so good. This is going to be it. No, because every time I feel like that, that's never the case. So the world records are always great because they were a surprise. Besides that, I think every time I surprise other people, in the sense of when I go on a pool deck, it's if they don't follow swimming, then they really know me. So to them, I'm like a black face just walking on the pool deck. And they're like, oh, who is she? We don't really care. We don't really know her. And then they see me swim and they're like, oh. And you see them start to like get nice with me and start talking to me. I'm like, all right. So I think those are always surprising because it's like I always have to prove myself to other people instead of just thinking or just giving me like maybe the benefit of the doubt of every other swimmer, waiting to see how I am in the water before you judge me. I don't really get that so much now just because I've been around for so long. But when I was younger, that happened a lot. And it showed me a different character that I can be. And it kind of paved my way into which type of person do I want to be. The person that judges everybody, so you're going to judge them back, or the person that just allows me to swim the way I want to swim without any stress or pressure. Because they don't know who I am. I don't need to tell them. They'll see it regardless. And I'm glad for that because it showed me a different type of strength that I had. Because I was very introverted as a child. And coming into it, it's like swimming forces you to have a voice, whether you want it or not. And the voice that came out was extremely strong. And it came out in the pool. And then eventually it came out in the social life as well.
You started talking about the world records. So obviously you broke your own short course world record in the 50-meter breast, and then you tied Rita for the 100-meter short course breaststroke or something. But then, how did you feel when you once again tied your own world record?
So after 2012 Olympics, when I tied Tara Van Vielen for the semifinals for Olympics, I was like, this doesn't happen. Like, this doesn't happen. So when I tied my own world record again, I'm like, I can't say this doesn't happen. Like, I've seen many different circumstances in swimming already. Obviously, this happens, and it would happen to me. So I was like, I started analyzing the race to see what could I have done differently to go 0.01 faster. And it got to the point where I was like, it was the race that I had. Like, that was it. Everything I did for a reason. Like, every turn, if I didn't push off as hard, like, whatever. And it really gets into your head if you start to, like, minimize what you just did, because you just tied it again. Like, don't overlook that. But at the same time, be proud of your race, because that's the race that you had. So I had to fight between that and be like, just accept it. At least I can say nobody has a record for beating it twice and having the same record twice, if that's something. Yeah.
What is it about short course? Like, obviously, you're still up there with everybody on the long course circuit and kind of thing too. But what is it that allows you to be like so dominant in the short course meet? Is it just your very powerful turns, or?
Yes, I think the turns do play a factor in it. I have more confidence in it. So yes, there can be many other physical attributes that we can study and look into it, and I'm sure there's other things where I'm stronger in. But when you break it down, I have more confidence in short course meets. When I go in, I'm like, okay, I have 6 strokes. I can muscle through 6 strokes before my next turn. Whereas long course, I was like, I have 21 strokes. And mentally, it's like, oh, can you hold on to this? Like, so for me, mentally, it is a lot easier. However, I enjoy short course meters more than yards. So if that was the case, then yards would have been better. So I don't know. There is something sweet about the short course meters. The right amount of strokes, the right turns. I don't know what it is. But I do know my turns and my walls do play a heavy part on it. And I do believe just the way I grew up, my body type, my family, my structure, everything, really, the short course meters is a great event and it's a great distance to showcase what I'm capable of doing.
So when it comes to training, where you're at in South Florida, are you doing mainly meters or yards, or and how much long course time do you get in?
So usually it's just yards, and then probably 2 times in the morning I'll do long course until it reaches maybe long course season. So end of May, June, July, and August would be long course, but everything else would be short course.
So you mean like end of May and so on is all long course, or you still do yards at that time too?
Mm-hmm. It's all long course until maybe August. And then short course yards would start up in August towards back again May.
Let's go back a little bit. Can you tell us about your upbringing in Jamaica and how swimming helped shape your life? And, were there any struggles that you faced that stood out during your childhood swimming?
So we started swimming. My entire family is track and field based. So it was a shock for us to go into swimming because I have an older sister and an older brother. So they started swimming just because we should know how to swim. So there was actually a small drowning incident, and it wasn't really a drowning. The boat had water in it, and everybody started to panic. So my aunt started to panic because she didn't know how to swim. So after they got to shore, my mother and my aunt is like, no, this can't happen. Like, why are we in a state where this can happen? Like, that shouldn't happen. So when my mother started having kids, she made sure that they knew how to swim. And she actually learned with my oldest sister as well. So from that, we just started to learn how to swim. And then we just kept on doing it every summer. Now my brother started doing track and field as well, but he didn't like it. So by the time I came along, we just kept it swimming. It was just a one shot. So that's actually how I started. I didn't have any other rival sports to contest with. And yeah, swimming was fun. It was more of a social aspect for us. It was more of a family daycare type of things, because a lot of the women and the men, they drop us off from school drop us off at swimming, and then they go back to work. So it was some place to put the children for a couple hours, and then they pick us back up in the afternoon. So you really got to learn some friends. You got to learn different families. Everybody was your swim mom. Everybody could discipline you. So it was a good environment to grow up in. And as I got older, I started to realize, like, I don't just have to race the girls. I can race the boys too. So I took a liking to beating the boys as well. And I think a part of me still has that, like, I still try and measure out my pullouts with the other men and be like, I'm almost there. Like, and I'm short. So it's like, it's not safe. But yeah, I started racing against the boys, and I started getting more competitive. And I think that's where my competitive drive started from. Until I started to get older and I started to go to international meets for Jamaica. And I started to realize, oh, wow, there are a lot of very talented females out there. So I started changing my focus to just seeing how close I can get to where they are. So when I beat somebody, I always went to the next person, like, all right, who is next type of deal. And I just worked my way up. Yeah.
Well, when you were in Jamaica, did you train like in your own hometown? Like, there's a pool there, but like when did you make that transition, or was it really early when you went to Kingston? Like, I believe the National Aquatic Center of Jamaica is in Kingston, right? Like, are you're not right from there? Like, you're a little ways away?
No, so I was lucky enough to live in St. Andrew, which is the neighboring parish to Kingston. So we were only about 25 minutes away from the pool. And Jamaica only has one national stadium, which is National Stadium in Kingston. And everybody else is probably private pools. So you really have to know somebody or have access to those as well. So the public and everybody and all swim clubs usually went to that one pool for long course training. Short course was elsewhere. So we were all in one spot. So I was lucky enough to be able to learn there and then just keep on swimming from there.
Can you tell us a little bit about what it was when you arrived at Texas A&M, and what can you tell us about some of your experiences?
I love Texas. It was a change. Everybody told me you're going to go to Cowboys and you're going to ride horses to school. You're going to end up loving country music and you're going to have boots. And yeah, I love country music, so that's about the only one. I did not get boots, and I rode a horse once, but that was it. But yeah, it was a big change because I've been to the States many times, but Texas is a completely different part of the world. So getting adjusted wasn't as difficult as I imagined, because College Station was still small. It's small now, but back a couple of years, like 2010, it was a lot smaller. So it was still hometownish. You had the Southern charm. You had people who were opening the doors for you and saying, "Ma'am," just real country life. And I think for me, that was a lot better. I went to 2 other schools, and they were big city schools, and I don't think I felt as comfortable as I did as I would have in Texas, as I did in Texas A&M. But yeah, I think my deciding factor, I love the girls, and I love the girls at other teams as well. But the main thing when I sat down, and I remember talking to my parents, if I was on the pool deck at NCAAs and I saw all the coaches that I went to, which one would I be afraid to look in the eye? And that was Steve Boatman. I was like, I couldn't. The other ones I'd be like, hey, how you doing? But I couldn't. So I'm like, I need to go there. Steve is where I need to be at. So that's how I decided, actually, because I really admired and respected Steve. And I know it would have broken his heart if I didn't go. And I wanted to go. I just couldn't decide at the moment. But yeah, Texas A&M.
It's an awesome story, and the fact that Big 12 champion, and now you're also in the Texas A&M Hall of Fame too, right? Yeah. That's awesome. Congratulations. Going, past that and through all your international experience and everything, like, can you offer any messages to the young athletes regarding, persevering through these times and, moving forward into the future, next season and beyond?
Yeah. Um, for the athletes during this time, I really want to say to you guys, be honest with yourself. Know who you are. Because I know myself. I am a lazy athlete. I am. And so I really have to put a schedule and a routine and keep myself accountable. Because if not, I will be on the sofa with cake and chips. And that is not where I need to be if I want to go to Olympics next year. So really keep yourself accountable. Know who you are. And if you don't, ask your teammates and ask your coach. I am sure they will tell you the truth. And when you do figure it out, see where the negative stuff are, and then see where you have room to improve on. And then just start using this time just to fix and change that character and mold it and make it better. So when you do go back to practices, you won't have those same excuses. You won't be, oh, I can't get up. Oh, I'm so tired. I'm so tight. I don't know how to stretch. You should have been stretching this whole time. Oh, my core work is so weak. Oh, I have an injury. You weren't resting the injury this whole time. Find the different things that you're doing now to make yourself better. So when you do go back to pool, you can give yourself 100%. So that's one. Two, for the future, I would say hold on to your goals. Figure out why you're in the sport. And that's any sport, whether it's a swimmer or a runner or anything. Find out what you're doing and why you do it. Because it's great when you're having fun. It's great when you're doing well. But those times don't last. And when you have a negative feedback, or when you have a bad swim, or when you just don't want to get up, you have to remember the goals that you set in place. And that's the only thing that's going to get you up, really. Keep yourself accountable. Tell your coaches, like, hey, I'm having a rough day today. And tell your teammates, like, look, I'm feeling really lazy. I'm going to need your help. But even though we swim by ourselves in the lane at competitions, you're not alone in the entire race of your career. So you have to have other people with you, and you have to be open with them and communicate with them to let them know what's going on. So yeah, I think that's the best advice I can give. Hold yourself accountable. Be honest with yourself. If you have to look inside the mirror and be like, you are a lazy athlete, then do it. But know who you are. Keep yourself accountable, but also find what you can do to fine tune yourself right now. So at the end of this, you can come out better for it, not worse.
That's wonderful advice. Well, I think this has been a exceptional interview. I believe that our swimmers, both from the Belleville and other Ontario or Canadian swimmers tuning in, as well as parents and coaches, will be able to take a lot out of this. And we were just so blessed to be able to have you come on here. And thank you very much for the opportunity.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
All right. Thank you, Alia. Take care.
Bye, guys.